Hello everyone, today we are going to be making peanut butter blossom cookies that have a chocolate kiss on top. Let's begin. With a mixing bowl, you are going to cream 1/2 cup of shortening. I have this old mixing measuring cup. I got it from Pampered Chef many years ago, and it has a 1/2 cup mark, and then you fill it to that line, and then you just push it up to push out the shortening. I don't know where to find one today, but I highly recommend these instead of trying to scoop something creamy out of a measuring cup. Now add 3/4 cup of creamy peanut butter. I use whatever brand is on sale. I don't have a preference because I don't eat these cookies. And then you're going to mix that together well. Next, you're going to take 1/3 cup of granulated sugar and 1/3 cup of light brown sugar. And you're going to mix all of these together well. Next, add 1 egg. Then you want to add 2 tablespoons of whole milk and 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Then mix all ingredients well. Next, add 1½ cups of flour and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I want to also note that the recipe does call for 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I do not add salt to my cookies because I use salted butter. If you use unsalted butter, make sure to add the salt. After all the ingredients are all well mixed, you're going to chill the dough. After the dough chills, you're going to shape the balls of dough into about 3/4 inch circles. You don't want them too big. The recipe I'm using says to make them 1 inch. What I have found for these cookies is for them to taste good or to taste better, the dough around the Hershey Kiss topper must not be too large. There should be an equal portion of dough and Hershey Kiss. When somebody bites into this cookie, they want to get a full indulgence of both the peanut butter and the chocolate. When the dough around the chocolate is too big, it's too much dough, and then you taste more peanut butter than anything, but the dough itself isn't as delicious as it is paired with the Hershey Kiss. So let me demonstrate. First, you're going to heat your oven to 375 degrees. Then you're going to line a baking sheet with parchment paper. You're also going to prepare a bowl with a little bit of sugar, about say 1/2 cup or so, because once you roll the dough into little balls, you are going to roll it in the sugar. So starting with a very small amount of dough, I've been making these for years, so I can kind of eyeball this, and just based on my experience, this is way too much dough. So I'm going to pinch a little bit off. Like I said, the technique is so that when somebody bites into this cookie, they're not getting a mouthful of peanut butter dough. They're getting the indulgence of both the peanut butter and the chocolate. And then you're going to roll it in your sugar. And you're going to repeat this process until you fill your cookie sheet. And don't worry about spacing these dough balls out, 2 inches apart or anything like that, because these cookies do not spread very much. I can really load a cookie sheet with these dough balls. The easiest thing I can do when I'm doing this is to have a starting point of a dough ball this size, and then make sure the dough balls are about this size. But another way to tell if your dough ball is big enough or small enough is to hold an actual Hershey Kiss up to it. That's how you know the dough is going to be sufficient. If the kiss and the dough are roughly the same size, with the dough ball being just a tad bigger, then you're good. Another tip is, instead of using your hand to roll the dough ball in the sugar, use a spoon to just cover up the dough ball, because now that I'm doing this, I'm getting the sugar in the dough, and that's not what you want to do. I was able to get 30 round cookie dough balls on the tray. And this is just one tip that I've learned over the years making these. You bake these at 375 degrees for 10 minutes. However, When they come out, you immediately place a Hershey Kiss on top of each of the dough balls. So what I have started doing in recent years, because I found it was way easier, once I count out the balls on the cookie sheet and know for sure how many I have, I unwrap the Hershey Kisses before I put the tray in the oven. And the reason for that is because it only takes 10 minutes to cook at most. They recommend 8 to 10 minutes. Well, sometimes I'm not quick enough to unwrap 30 Hershey Kisses in that time if I'm doing a bunch more things, or if you have little kids at home, or, you know, there's many things you could be doing at once. Therefore, I make sure now that I unwrap the Hershey Kisses first before I place the tray in the hot oven. So now I'm going to go ahead and unwrap 30 Hershey Kisses. And the reason I don't unwrap a bunch at a time, one time I did that and I unwrapped too many. So that's why I do it this way. So after I went ahead and unwrapped the 30 Hershey Kisses, I counted the ones I have left because I still have quite a bit of cookie dough and I want to make sure I have enough Hershey Kisses to do the rest of the dough. I put these in the oven for 9 minutes. I had them set at 8, but they needed just 1 more minute. And now I'm putting the Hershey Kiss down, and here is my technique for doing so. And you see how it comes out crinkled? So I just place it on top of the cookie and I press gently. You don't want to press too hard. It will break the cookie in half. And then once I'm done with this technique, I will remove the parchment paper from the cookie tray and I will cool the cookies on the parchment paper on top of my granite countertop. Because if I don't take them off the tray, they'll become too cooked and too brown. So I prefer to just let them cool down on the granite. So now the cookies are over on top of the granite, still on the parchment paper, and I just wanted to make a note here that when you push the Hershey Kisses, you don't want to push too hard. You want to be gentle but firm enough so that the chocolate melts to the hot cookie, and that's what secures them together so they don't fall off once they've cooled down. Now another note I want to make is I have granite countertops, and all the rave in recent years is quartz. When I built my house 20 plus years ago, granite was the thing that was in style back then. But I do want to make a note here, never put your hot cookie sheet directly on your granite counter, because what I didn't know when I first built my house, granite can crack, and granite can crack from heat. A lot of people don't know that. I did not know that until I had a crack in my granite. So just be very careful. Some people say, oh, that can't happen. It can absolutely happen. So just be very careful with hot pans. I always use hot pads for hot pans from the stove or hot casserole dishes. It's better to be safe than have a crack in your granite. My colorful cookie tray is starting to come together now with the addition of the Hershey Kiss cookies. I also put little dishes of candy from my baking left over on the table for everybody to enjoy who visits. Got some M&Ms there left over from the other cookie video I did. There's the Hershey Kisses. I almost used an entire bag of Hershey Kisses too, so keep that in mind. You may need the family size bag instead of a small bag. Look at this one here. It melted and I flipped it over on the tray by accident. But that's okay. Gooey chocolate. Nothing wrong with that. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.